Welcome to Blockchain Tech and Finance News with me, your host, KinToshi. If you're on the YouTube side, please do subscribe, turn on the bell notifications. Let's go right on into it with the market caps and a slew of different articles. And I will be cutting stream and back on stream with a slew of even more news. All right, so in U.S. market data rates, we have U.S. Dow Jones Industrial Average down 0.51%, NASDAQ Composite Index down 0.09%, S&P 500. All right, great. Audio is going great. S&P 500 down 0.42%, Global Dow Real Time down 0.96%, Gold Continuous is down 0.43%, and oil is down 3.2% in Europe. FTSE 100 0.59% in the red. DAX up 0.01%. CAC 40 down 0.13%. FTSE MIB index is down 1.12%. IBEX 35 down 0.86%. The stock 600 is down 0.33%. In the Asia market, the Asia Dow down 0.94%. Nikkei 225 down 1.34%. Hang Seng down 0.51%. Shanghai Composite Index down 0.47%. S&P BSE Sensex down 1.53%. FTSE Straits down 0.21%. S&P 200 benchmark is down 0.3%. The Kospi Index is down 1.68%. In the currencies, here the euro down 0.44%. Japanese yen down 0.03%. The British pound is down 0.59%. Australia dollar is down 0.8%. US dollar up 0.35%. The WSJ dollar index is up 0.31%. In cryptocurrency markets, we have the Bitcoin at $23,773 per BTC, down 1.7%. Ethereum and USD is $1,611.83, down 1.79%. In the rates, U.S. 10-year Treasury note is down 0.017. Germany 10-year government bond is down 0.007. Italy 10-year government bond down 0.007. Spain 10-year government bond down 0.019. UK 10-year gilt down 0.007. Japan government 10-year is no flux. In the futures, crude oil is down 3.25%. Gold continuous contract is down 0.46%. E-mini NASDAQ 100 is down 0.18%. The E-mini Dow continuous contract is down 0.47%. E-mini S&P 500 futures is down 0.4%. Silver continuous futures is down 1.87%. First article, it's a note from Cointelegraph. Gamers made up nearly half of all blockchain activity in January DApp Radar report. This is from Savannah Fortes, reporter for Cointelegraph. A new report from DApp Radar revealed that during the first month of 2023, blockchain gaming made up 48% of all DApp activity. Play-to-earn blockchain gaming experienced a downturn over the last year as gamers prioritized improving the gameplay experience. However, according to a new report from DApp Radar, in the first month of 2023, gamers made up nearly half, 48% of all blockchain activity. January also saw the market caps for top gaming tokens increase by 122% on average, with Gala, the digital utility token of the Gala game ecosystem, surging by 218%. According to the report, the rise of the interest in these gaming tokens comes as industry buzz hits mainstream audiences. For example, Gala Games made headlines after it acquired a new mobile game studio with more than $20 million in assets under management and 15 games. Blockchain analysis at DApp Radar, Sarah Gergelis, told Cointelegraph that based on on-chain metrics from the past 2 years, it's safe to assume blockchain gaming will continue to be a significant sector in the industry. This is because blockchain gaming is already a vertical in the traditional industry. As blockchain gains more traction, it will bring more adoption to Web3 games, which become mainstream. The Wax blockchain continues to have more active gaming activity with 331,000 unique active wallets. Top 3 blockchain gaming ecosystems all saw an increase in gaming protocols from the end of 2022 to beginning of 2023, except for the BNB chain. Beginning of 2023 saw increased activity as strong funding set the stage for what many call blockchain gaming's building year. This term encapsulates the industry's focus on building more powerful, high-quality games. Gergelis said the amount of investments toward this vertical is increasing significantly, with overall investment in 2022 around $7.6 billion, a 105% increase from 2021. Investments into blockchain gaming into the blockchain gaming industry topped $156 million in January alone. Additionally, the report highlighted the metaverse's role in the uptick in blockchain gaming activity this year. The data revealed that the trading volume for January for virtual world-related games hit $44.5 million, and a 114% increase from the month prior. Although sales decreased by 19%, the overall growth can be attributed to the success of major metaverse platforms such as the Sandbox and Decentraland, with an increase in trading volume of 114% and 83% respectively. According to a 2022 report from DappRadar, Web3 gaming accounted for nearly half of all blockchain-based transactions in a year. So that's gamers made up nearly half of all blockchain activity in January. Gamers through a DappRadar report. From Cointelegraph, cryptocurrency miners may lead the next stage of AI. Globally distributed AI network that relies on mining rigs will be difficult for governments to control, according to Dr. Ben Gortzel. This is from reporter Ben Gortzel. Cointelegraph. And as artificial intelligence AI rapidly works its complex magic in one sector, the economy after another, there is increasingly pressing need for computing resources to power all this machine intelligence. Training a model like ChatGPT costs more than $5 million, and running the early ChatGPT demo, even before usage increased to its current level, costs OpenAI around $100,000 per day. And AI is more than just text generation. Applying AI to practical problems across multiple industries requires similar large neural models trained on a diversity of data types: medical, financial, customer information, geospatial, and so forth. Moving beyond the limitations of current neural net AI towards systems with higher levels of artificial and general intelligence will almost surely be even more compute intensive. It's only natural that a small but increasing number of crypto miners are now looking at how to leverage their own compute infrastructures to help push forward the AI revolution. So Bitcoin mining remains a lucrative business. Mining other cryptocurrencies can still make money as well, but it's a rapidly shifting landscape. Ether miners, for instance, took a major hit last year when the Ethereum network shifted from proof of work to proof of stake. The economic and technical situation in the crypto space over the past 2 years has driven an increasing number of crypto mining organizations to explore the potential of leveraging their facilities on other purposes, such as high performance computing, in particular AI. Specific computing hardware needed for high performance computing, HPC, for AI processing is often different from what's optimal for crypto mining, but buying servers is generally not the most difficult part of setting up a mining farm. Getting the electrical power and cooling and security. Another physical infrastructure is in place is a major cost and effort, and all this remains roughly the same whether one is hosting RAM lights GPUs appropriate, or ETH mining for RAM heavy GPUs appropriate for AI model learning. So mining firm Hut 8 has led the way, leveraging its formerly mining dedicated compute facilities for machine learning and other HPC applications. Hive Blockchain has been doing the same thing for some time, filling its servers with processor cards that can be used for cloud computing and AI applications, and rendering for engineering applications, in addition to scientific modeling of fluid dynamics. Perhaps most interesting is the potential for miners to shift their compute resources to AI in a way that remains fully within the blockchain space by using them to run AI processes that are hosted in decentralized blockchain-based networks. This opportunity is provided by a number of AI projects associated with their own altcoins, such as Fetch.ai, Ocean, Matrix AI Network, and Cortex, and my own project, Singularity Net, Ajax, and there's various ecosystem projects such as NewNet and New Ledgerless Blockchain Hypercycle. AI-related altcoins have done well in the first part of 2023 as the market has come to understand the potential for decentralized AI software. It's been clear since Bitcoin's white paper that the fusion of distributed computing, strong encryption, and decentralized control has broad applications beyond the financial. This is why we have blockchain projects in areas spanning nearly all vertical markets: medicine, supply chain, gaming, robotics, and so on. You know what I think to ask ChatGPT is how to mine Bitcoin with ChatGPT. I'd ask itself how it would succeed um, through itself to mine Bitcoin, how it would through itself machine learn itself to mine Bitcoin. Anyways, as each of these business domains become dominated by AI, decentralizing the software and hardware underlying AI will be a critical aspect of decentralizing the global economy. Repurposing of a portion of crypto mining hardware to running AI processing, some of which is wrapped in AI or oriented crypto networks, will increasingly form part of the story. If a non-trivial portion of global AI processing ends up being done on crypto mining facilities, this could have implications beyond finance. Crypto mining rigs are based in diverse legal jurisdictions and owned by a variety of different parties. A globally distributed AI network spread across crypto mining rigs would be dramatically more difficult for governments or other parties to centrally control than an AI network centered in a big tech-owned server farms, the current default for AI. Whether this is good or bad, AI ethics wise, depends on your estimate of the character of big tech and big government. So I guess this person who wrote this report on this is the CEO and founder of SingularityNet, a chairman of the Artificial and General Intelligence Society, and has worked as a research scientist at a number of organizations, most notably as the chief scientist at Hanson Robotics, where he co-developed Sophia. Oh, okay. He served previously as a director of research at the Machine Intelligence Research Institute, as the chief scientist and chairman of AI software company Novament, I don't know, and as chairman of the OpenCog Foundation. He graduated from Temple University with a PhD in mathematics. So that's cryptocurrency miners are leading the next stage of AI. Cool. Cool beans. Let's keep it moving. It's from investing.com. Cryptocurrency news. Blur generates $460 million worth of Ethereum NFT trades in 1 week. It's from Coin Edition. No direct writer. All right. Ethereum NFT volume has more than doubled in just 1 week. Blur generated a whopping $460 million worth of Ethereum NFT trades over the last week. Blur is trading hands at $1.22 after a 4.25% drop in price. Ethereum NFT volume has more than doubled over the last week. This could mostly be because Blur made investors focus on the NFT industry because of its rewards model after the overtaking OpenSea. DappRadar reported that Blur generated a whopping $460 million worth of Ethereum NFT trades over the last week alone, which is more than 360% increase over the same period. And on the other hand, OpenSea saw a 12% increase in trading volume over the same time, which amounts to about $107 million. X2Y2's $11 million over the same time period is dwarfed by Blur and OpenSea. The surge in volume comes during a week in which Blur airdropped its Blur governance token to NFT traders who earned rewards to the marketplace. Adding fuel to this buying and selling fire is the fact that Blur is testing its next season to airdrop. Traders that put in a bid close to the floor price of a popular project will maximize their eventual rewards. As a result, people are now both buying and selling in bulk. As a result, in response to Blur's recent success, OpenSea announced on Friday that it has temporarily cut its 2.5% market fee. This means that OpenSea will basically be going zero fee in an attempt to gain more competitive edge over Blur. Blur price, source coin market cap. The success over the past week is not reflected in the price of Blur at the moment. The crypto is trading hands at $1.22 after a 4.2% drop in the price over the last 24 hours. In addition to this, Blur was also down by more than 75% over the last week. The views and opinions, are shared in the price analysis are published in good faith. Readers have to do your own research and do diligence. Any action taken by the reader and yourselves and listeners it's not liable for direct. Yes. So these may go to zero at any which time. An NFT or a cryptocurrency, basically a stock, anything. So only risk what you can afford to lose. Because everything could go to zero at any instant. This is from Fortune Crypto. Writer Ben Wise. Azure Games, founded by veteran EA game developer, raises $10 million for NFT themed legions and legends. Oh, okay. Well, if you want to go there, that article's there. Didn't realize that. Not subscribed. Maybe we'll check it out at some point. Fortune Crypto. What's their rates? $1. Yeah. All right. Well, check it out. Cointelegraph. NFT will act as high-end property during boom cycles. Real Vision CEO. This is from Brian Cornby, writer-reporter for Cointelegraph. The former hedge fund manager says that top-tier NFTs essentially serve as status symbols and should see significant upside during crypto boom cycles. So we're going into basically like more NFT news. Real Vision CEO and co-founder Raul Pal believes non-fungible token NFTs will act similar to high-end property in the traditional economy, outperforming Ether during crypto market boom cycles. An hour-long YouTube video published on February 20th, the former JP Morgan executive offered a rundown of what he felt most bullish about when it came to NFTs, including use cases for their asset class, for underlying tech, and its potential performance relative to Ether. There's a tweet there. In quote, so can I take my ETH and put it into a JPEG and NFT, but why? But why? Well, what? Because much like high-end property, you think of a CryptoPunk as a high-end property in London or New York or Hong Kong or whatever it is, or wherever it is. When the economy starts booming and people have more money, they tend to buy expensive high-end property, as it tends to outperform the rest of the market. And I think the same thing will happen in ETH economy, he said. He highlighted that major collections such as CryptoPunks and Bored Ape Yacht Club Basie have some status symbols in the crypto community, much like owning a luxury house, car from a famous brand that offers access to exclusive clubs, or what he dubbed in many network states. He said that NFTs serve as a way of owning property in the ETH economy. I think humans are ridiculous in what we love in social signal stuff. Looking back, the former hedge fund manager said NFTs started to draw his attention in 2022 as he started to understand the power of what they are and what they can do, such as being able to transfer value via blockchains and automated smart contracts. He also pointed to NFTs used in the resolution of contracts, noted the blockchain-based ledgers can offer very viable transparency that has been agreed between people, while smart contracts can essentially do away with unnecessary third parties. Now, what's interesting about the smart contract element of an NFT is the fact that it kind of allows for the settlement mechanism to be automated and code resolves without the need for a third party. So you don't need the courts, the lawyers, the notaries, and the accountants. Powell stated that since he got into NFTs, he allocated roughly 10% of his ETH holdings into premium NFTs such as CryptoPunks and Basie NFT. He suggested that such collections potentially offer more upside potential than downside risk, as they have managed to sustain a decent level of value during the bear market. He also believes the price of ETH is likely to increase moving forward. When you look at the price of CryptoPunks and Bored Apes, they've remained incredibly stable in ETH terms. Yes, they have had a blow-off top, and they came back and they traded about 65 ETH forever. And that's interesting to me because they didn't fall much further. They had a sharp spike in June and a big crypto collapse, but other than that, they just rallied back and stayed at 65 ETH. So whatever ETH does, they're just mirroring it, he said. So yeah, ARK outperformed the S&P 500 still to date through NFTs. NFTs will act as high-end property during boom cycles. Real Vision CEO. Let's go into some metaverse news. From the New York Times. I don't know, let me read this. No, it's gonna have me subscribe. Well, if you want to check that out, next how housing market is out of this world. It's in the metaverse, right there. Okay. It's like passing commercials where you can find more cool news at. Yahoo Finance. Why investors should remain on recession watch in 2023 from the morning brief the other day. So, is this? Okay. It's from Brian Sawsey, executive editor for Yahoo Finance. So we're over in the finance sector now. This article first appeared in the morning brief on the 21st. Today's newsletter is from Brian Sawsey's executive letter. You can follow him on Twitter. After some time on the shelf, I am pulling out the recession watching binoculars once again. Sir, you are going to tell me recent big reads on non-farm payrolls and retail sales are suggesting a recession in 2023 is not in the cards. Fair argument. And one Goldman Sachs economists, agree with apparently. The investment bank's economics team has slashed its 12-month recession probability forecast to 25% from 35% consensus expectations. Still put a 65% chance on a recession this year, reflecting a continued strength in the labor market and early signs of improvement in various business surveys. Cool. We also continue to witness positive market reactions and subpar earnings reports, which you don't see if economic growth is poised to fall off a cliff. Outlooks this week from Home Depot and Walmart will put these reactions to the test again, but investors still appear to have forgotten one thing amidst all these positives. Over the course of 2 weeks, the Fed reminded everyone who is boss. Comments from Cleveland Fed President Loretta Mester, hawkish St. Louis Fed President Jim Bullard, hawkish Atlanta Fed President Raphael Bostic, hawkish. Now we're hearing chirping on the street. The Fed needs to lift interest rates by 50 basis points at its March meeting to combat this stretch of strong and inflationary economic data. Taking together all of these raises my own recession probability from here, from where it was a couple of weeks ago. Why history says it should. The Federal Reserve has embarked on an inflation-crushing rate hiking cycle 9 times since 1961. 8 times the recession followed, according to a 2022 report from Piper Sandler. The only true soft economic landing came in 1994. I plan as Double-Line founder Jeffrey Gundlach about this pressing economic and market questions when I sit down with him on Wednesday in an in-depth chat on Yahoo Finance Live. It's probably happened about now. Yeah, that's most definitely. Gundlach was among the first people to warn of growth slowdown in early 2022 when he chatted with me from inside his California home. He also warned about Bitcoin. Both calls were spot on, and I suspect that he has more wisdom to share this week. Happy trading. Why investors should remain on recession watch in 2023 from the morning brief from Yahoo Finance. Also in the video next to this, right thereafter, in episode 100, it's episode 99, you can check out even more updated news in Yahoo Finance. That's even newer for that retrospect. Stock market news today. Stocks slide after economic warnings from Walmart and Home Depot. Here's what's moving the markets on Tuesday from the 21st. U.S. stocks plunged Tuesday as a prospect of higher for longer interest rates and letdowns from big box retailers dampened the mood on Wall Street to start a busy holiday-shortened weekend. From the Alexandra Semenova, reporter for Yahoo Finance. The U.S. stock and bonds market were closed on Monday for President's Day. The S&P 500 GSPC nosedived 2%, falling below the key 4,000 level, while the Dow Jones Industrial Average DJI shed nearly 700 points, or 2.1%, and the technology-heavy Nasdaq Composite tanked 2.5%. The S&P 500 right there, and this charting from the other day. Investors valued quarterly financials from Walmart and Home Depot for updates on the health and the U.S. consumer, which has so far remained resilient in the face of stubbornly high inflation, most recently evidenced by January's stunning retail sales data out last week. Walmart, however, warned Tuesday morning that it was cautious about the outlook for the economy and says customers pressured by inflation shopping for lower-priced items may negatively impact margins. The retail giant also issued full year earnings guidance below Wall Street estimates. Shares closed slightly higher after repairing losses from early in the session. The consumer is still pressured, and if you look at economic indicators, balance sheets are running thinner and savings rates are declining relative to previous periods. Walmart Chief Finance Officer John David Rainey said during an earnings call, and so that's why we take a pretty cautious outlook on the rest of this year. The picture was similar for home improvement retailer Home Depot, which also reported disappointing fourth quarter results and said it was in for a challenging 2023. Shares slid 7.1%. In the red, speculative technology stocks, which led the rally higher to start the year, were taking a beating on Tuesday. Cathie Wood's ARK Innovation ETF plopped 6.1%. Tesla spiraled down 5.3% after rising for 6 back-to-back weeks. Morgan Stanley's Mike Wilson wrote on Tuesday morning, note that the bear market rally that began in October for reasonable prices and low expectation has morphed into a speculative frenzy based on a Fed pause/pivot that isn't coming. On Friday, the Dow Jones Industrial Average logged its third straight losing week for the first time since September, closing down 0.1% for the 5-day trading period. The S&P 500 fell 0.3% for the week, and its second consecutive week in the red. While the Nasdaq was an outlier, notching a weekly gain of 0.6%. Investors are waking up to the realization that fresh interest rate hikes will be needed in the U.S., perhaps as many as 3 in the quick succession, to tame the spiral, this price spiral. Set the consumers more cautious. Susanna Streeter, head of money in markets of Hungary's Lansdowne, said in email comments. In other areas of the market, Treasury yields ascended, with the benchmark 10-year note rising 12 basis points on top of 3.9%, the highest level since November. The U.S. dollar also advanced, for rates rising due to the market's repricing of a potentially higher for longer monetary policy path that weighted on risk appetite. Adam Turquoise, Chief Technical Strategist for LPL Financial, said in a note, benchmark 10-year Treasury yields have now cleared key resistance by 3.9%, elevating upside risk in the yields, which will likely continue to weigh on equities. Later in the week, Wall Street will get a readout of minutes from the Federal Open Market Committee's last week. Earlier this month, the release will offer clues about the next rate increase in March, which are now expecting to be 50 basis points after strong economic data and hotter than projected inflation readings. Last week, Cleveland Fed President Loretta Mester said she would have favored rising interest rates by 50 basis points February 1st rather than the smaller quarter point rate increase her colleagues opted for. And traders fretting over inflation and the path forward for interest rates also await the Personal Consumption Expenditures PCE price index, the Fed's most closely watched assessment on how quickly prices are rising across the economy, which is set for release Friday morning this week. So let's go. Stock market news on the stock slide after economic warnings from Walmart and Home Depot. From CNBC, Synchron Bank by Bezos and Gates test brain-computer interfaces. From the tech sector readings for today. The key points here is from Ashley Caput for CNBC, writer-reporter. Key points: Synchron is part of an emerging crop of companies testing technology in the brain-computer interface industry. The system is implanting through the blood vessels and allows patients to operate technology using only their minds. It helps them engage in ways that we take for granted, Synchron CEO Tom Oxley said. A Synchron's patient in a switch clinical trial using computing. In a Brooklyn lab stuffed with 3D printers and a makeshift pickleball court, employees at a brain interface startup called Synchron are working on technology designed to transform daily life for people with paralysis. The Synchron switch is implanted through the blood vessels to allow people with no or very limited physical immobility to operate technology such as cursors and smart home devices using their mind. So far, the nascent technology has been used on 3 patients in the U.S. and 4 in Australia. I've seen moments between patient and partner or patient and spouse where it's incredibly joyful and empowering to have remained an ability to being a little bit more independent than before. Synchron CEO Tom Oxley told CNBC in an interview, it helps them engage in ways that we take for granted. Founded in 2012, Synchron is part of the burgeoning brain-computer interface, or BCI, industry. A BCI is a system that deciphers brain signals and translates them into commands for external technologies. Perhaps the best known name in the space is Neuralink, thanks for the high profile or founder Elon Musk, who is also the CEO of Tesla, SpaceX, and Twitter. But Musk isn't the only tech billionaire wagering on the eventual transition of BCI from radical science experiment into a flourishing medical business. In December, Synchron announced a $75 million financing round that included funding from the investment firm of Microsoft co-founder Bill Gates and Amazon founder Jeff Bezos. In more scalable, in August 2020, the Food and Drug Administration granted Synchron the breakthrough device designation, which is for medical devices that have the potential to provide improved treatment for debilitating or life-threatening conditions. The following year, Synchron became the first company to receive an investigational device exemption from the FDA to conduct trials of a permanently implantable BCI in human patients. Synchron is enrolling patients at an early feasibility trial which aims to show that the technology is safe to put in humans. 6 patients will be implanted with Synchron's BCI during the study, and Chief Commercial Officer Kurt Hagstrom said the company is currently about halfway through. The company has no revenue yet. And a spokesperson says Synchron isn't commenting on how much the procedure will eventually cost. While many competitors have to implant their BCIs through open brain surgery, Synchron relies on a less invasive approach that builds on decades of existing endovascular techniques, the company said. And Synchron's BCI is inserted through the blood vessels, which Oxley calls the natural highways into the brain. Synchron's stent, called the Stentrode, is fitted with tiny sensors that is delivered into the large vein that sits next to the motor cortex. The Stentrode is connected to an antenna that sits under the skin in the chest and collects raw brain data that it sends out to the body to external devices. Peter Yu, Senior Director of Neuroscience at Synchron, said since the device is not inserted directly into the brain tissue, the quality of the brain signal isn't perfect. But the brain doesn't like being touched by foreign objects. Yu said in the less invasive nature of the procedure makes it more accessible. There's roughly about 2,000 interventionalists who can perform these procedures, Yu told CNBC. It's a little bit more scalable compared to, say, open brain surgery or burr holes, which only neurosurgeons can perform. So for patients with severe paralysis or degenerative diseases such as amyotrophic lateral sclerosis or ALS, Synchron's technology can help them regain their ability to communicate with friends, family, and the outside world, whether through typing, texting, or even accessing social media. Patients can use Synchron's BCI to shop online and manage their health and finances, but Oxley said often what excites them most is text messaging. Losing the ability to text messaging is incredibly isolating, Oxley said. Restoring the ability to text message loved ones is very emotionally restoration of power. In December 2021, Oxley handed over his Twitter account to a patient named Philip O'Keefe, who has ALS and struggles to move his hands. About 20 months earlier, Keefe was implanted with Synchron's BCI. Hello world, short tweet, monumental progress. O'Keefe tweeted on Oxley's page using the BCI. Synchron's technology has caught the attention of its competitors. Musk approached the company to discuss potential investment last year, according to a Reuters report. Synchron declined to comment about the report. Neuralink didn't respond to a request for comment. Neuralink is developing a BCI that's designed to be inserted directly into the brain tissue. And while the company is not testing its device in humans yet, Musk has said he hopes it will do so this year. Hagstrom said his company's funding will help accelerate Synchron's product development and push it toward a pivotal clinical trial that would bring the company closer to commercialization. Khosla Ventures partner Alex Morgan, who led an earlier financing round, said that while Synchron's device may seem like something out of science fiction, it's grounded in real science and it's already making a significant difference in patients' lives. Synchron is actually helping people as of right now today, he said in an interview. That to me is really exceptional. In January, Journal of JMA Neurology published the peer review long-term safety results from a trial of Synchron's BCI system in Australia. The study found that the technology remained safe and didn't deteriorate in signal quality or performance over a 12-month period. That was a huge publication for us, Hagstrom said. Hagstrom said the commercialization is key for all players in the industry. I always like to be competitive, and so for me, being first to market is critical, Hagstrom said. We meet future patients to talk about their needs and stuff. And so when you see that and you talk about to these families that the caregivers, you want to race as fast as you can to provide them assistance in their daily life. So yeah, if you're hanging out with your family and all of a sudden your lights are like turning off and on, it's, you know, probably that BCI and your those are BCIs. We could just get BCIs implanted for fun, just so we could like turn things off and on. Like I could just think with my mind to turn my vehicle on, or think with my mind to tell my vehicle to drive somewhere after I turn it on, and after I tell it to open the door with my mind and step into it and tell it to drive somewhere with my mind, and I don't even have to speak or anything. So yeah, brain implant startup backed by Bezos and Gates is testing mind control computing on humans. Drove over to the BCC or BBC, not BCC, BBC Business. The tech helping people get a better night's sleep. Close out the tech sector after this by Egon Kostu. Have you ever lain in bed at night with sleep tantalizingly out of reach while thoughts ricocheted around your head? If so, then the plight of Lisa Holland from Chesterfield of Derbyshire may strike a chord. I just stopped sleeping, she said. Her insomnia had worsened to the point where she was only getting a few hours of shut-eye per night. Matters came to a head in the early hours of a particularly bad night in 2016. The sleepless hours ticked as 90-minute motorway drive to Miss Holland's senior job, and the live events industry loomed in the morning, a potentially dangerous journey for some suffering sleep deprivation. I was just pacing around in my bedroom, says Lisa. I caught myself in the reflection. I just looked at like a zombie, just walking in circles, and I thought, what are you doing? This is ridiculous. Lisa's experience is becoming increasingly common. Almost 3/4 of people in the UK, 71%, don't get the recommended 7 to 9 hours of sleep per night, according to a study last year by insurance group Direct Line. It found that 1 in 7 were getting less than 5 hours. Could be increased use of apps and other technology designed to help us get to sleep be the solution? Many of us seem to think so. In total, the global sleep technology sector was worth $15 billion last year. The same report predicts that it will jump to $67 billion by 2030. Sleep issues can be caused by a wide variety of factors, including stress, shift work, and caffeine or alcohol consumption. If you're part of the insomniac army, you may be reading this through a haze of fatigue, mental fogginess, or hopefully not grumpiness. But the consequences of prolonged sleeplessness can be a lot more serious. A lack of sleep plays a role in high blood pressure, heart disease, diabetes, and even mental health problems. According to UK Health Security Agency, which has previously called Public Health England, and that spills over to the economy. One report says that sleep deprivation costs the UK up to $40 billion a year in lost productivity, 40 billion euro or whatever. Not euro, pound. Right? It is, of course, not just a British problem. A third of Americans don't get enough sleep, according to the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, which says the situation threatens the nation's health. But of course, none of this was on Lisa's mind when she was forced to confront her problem. All she knew is that she needed help. Her doctor initially prescribed a short course of sleeping tablets, which would knock her out for a few hours at a time, but didn't guarantee quality rest. She eventually discovered the phenomenon of sleep stories, which are soothing tales provided via apps and podcasts. She opted for those on the meditation app and website Calm. I sleep so much better now, she says, even if I got a lot on at work and I think about various things like what I've got to do tomorrow, she says, I think it's a comfort blanket. So most nights she opens the app on her phone, selects a bedtime story, and lets it play through the speaker. I think it's the tone of the voices, how they slow their voices down and leave longer gaps between their sentences, she says. I think it does something to your thinking and listening brain. And more of those who struggle to get sleep are turning to tech for help, and it's not just about soothing bedtime stories. The burgeoning sleep technology market includes devices to track our slumber patterns, apps of providing restful meditation, as well as services to manage medical disorders like sleep apnea or narcolepsy. Such tech is now being recommended by health agencies. The National Institute for Health and Care Excellence, part of NHS England, last year recommended that people suffering from insomnia try an app called Sleepio. Sleepio has a virtual sleep assistant called powered by AI software. He aims to help users to get to sleep more easily. But despite the positives of all this technology, there can be a downside to using your device in the middle of a sleepless night, according to Lisa. You have to pick up your phone, open the app, and if you've forgotten to turn down the brightness, it's like black pool illumination, she says. And of course, when you're scrolling, you can wake yourself up a bit. So I myself, my favorites, so I can switch between stories so as quickly as possible and put the phone straight back down again. Potentially stimulating effect of technology is also concern for sleep expert Alison Francis, who the whole idea of giving the mind a rest from technology and turning technology off goes out the window, she says. Her advice for people to try to learn from the technology so that they can ultimately get to sleep without it. That way you can be more independent and won't need it to be on the phone all the time, she says. Furthermore, she adds that some people will need more medically based approach involving in-person monitoring and bespoke therapy program. Headspace is an app that aims to help users boost their mental well-being through meditation. Chief Product and Design Officer Leslie Witt says it very much includes a focus on helping people improve their sleep. We realize that we could not be in the business of fostering mental well-being without being in the business of improving sleep, she says. Over a third of our members use our sleep content, and what we call Sleep First members, where the primary way they engage with the app is through our sleep stories, our sleep courses, our sleep music. The figure is said to rise about 40-50% for people who come into Headspace via a workplace-provided scheme. Now, workplaces are seeing that sleep is critical, adds Miss Witt, but there's still progress to be made on getting bosses to see how demands on global workforce can raise sleep, disrupting stress levels. Meanwhile, Lisa Holland thinks it's time we recognize the importance of sleep to our overall health and turn away from the always-on culture with the best will in the world. Getting up at 4 in the morning to exercise and then start my day on being the first one to work and the last one out just wouldn't work for me, she says. I think more people are realizing you don't have to work 17, 18 hours a day. I think a real life work balance, and part of that is getting really good sleep. So they didn't really note of actually they did note of the tech, sleep, stories. Basically, that's about it. From what I saw. I think they're going to go into maybe possibly more in depth on a specific app, like walkthrough or something. This kind of did, but whatever. Weapon. Let's see. In the morning news brief, President Biden gives a speech in Poland. Facebook and Instagram launch a subscription verification service, and the Supreme Court hears 2 cases this week that could mean big changes for social media. You can listen into the 11-minute listen there. It's from Steve Inskeep and Lila Fidel from the Morning Edition. Lila Fidel hosts, so there's a narrative over this way on the news brief there. You can read through in their narrative. I can try a note of it. Let's see. So Biden spoke near the same site last year, aside of Russia's war in nearby Ukraine. Now he's back and asserting that after a year of war, the cause of democracy has only grown stronger. The White House sport correspondent Asma Kelly joins from Warsaw, and so it's a bit strange to split screen. The president of the U.S. is speaking on democracy in Poland, and hundreds of miles away in Russia, Vladimir Putin is making a case for Russians to oppose this Western order. So there's it's a bit of disconnect, right? I mean, the White House believes that the world is at a critical moment in this big battle between authoritarianism and democracy. Biden himself last year in Poland described this as a fight between the rules-based order and brute force. He sees Putin's invasion of Ukraine as part of that broader struggle. And just got off the call with the White House National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan, held with reporters, and said that the president intends to put the Ukraine war in a larger context, that the president's speech will make the case that democracies have grown stronger over the course of the last year. Biden also expects to touch on Russians' brutality in the war. And over the weekend, the U.S. formally accused Russia of committing crimes against humanity in a speech that Vice President Kamala Harris delivered at the Munich Security Conference. And, I will say it is noteworthy that Biden is returning to the very scene where he tried to rally the world for this fight about a year ago. Here we are back in Poland on the eastern flank of NATO, and the war is continuing to rage on. So the year has provided a lot of support, more than $112 billion to Ukraine. What else is Biden pledging at this point? So while he was in Kyiv yesterday, he announced an additional $500 million to military aid. The Biden administration also announcing new sanctions against Russia. It's worth pointing out that Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky has asked the U.S. for F-16s, but the Biden White House to date has been non-committal about sending those warplanes. Throughout this conflict, the White House has been cautious about supplying more military equipment than it fears could potentially escalate the conflict. But some experts and some lawmakers say that that time is very critical. Yesterday, in fact, Southern Carolina Republican Senator Lindsey Graham issued a statement praising Biden for making that secret trip to Ukraine. He said that it sent that right signal at the right time, but he also said words must be followed by powerful actions, and he called on the White House to provide Ukraine with advanced fighter jets. This trip has been quite a statement, and as you mentioned, Biden showing up in Kyiv is a surprise, and tell a bit about how it happened and the message he was sending. And the real logistical challenge, Biden took a train overnight from Poland to Kyiv. It was about some 10 hours each way. And we're told from the White House that this plan for this trip was going on for some months. A key difficulty is that the covert trip was not like the ones that former presidents have taken in the U.S. war zones like Afghanistan or Iraq. That the U.S. does not have boots on the ground in Ukraine. It doesn't control the critical infrastructure, so it was risky. In an attempt to reduce risk, the White House says it gave Russia a heads up that Biden would make this trip. I will say fundamentally that trip to Ukraine, also the big speech here in Poland today, all this is about sending a message to Russians and Ukrainians, of course, but it is about sending a message to European allies and American voters at home that the U.S. will stand with Ukraine as long as it takes. Let's see. Asma Kelly in Warsaw. So something about Facebook and Instagram. Talking about Twitter and Meta. Something about services trying to make more money to pay off Elon Musk's debts. So it's changing beginning next month. Only users pay a monthly fee. Blah, blah, digital rights. Wall Street Journal. Something. So it's kind of like more going on. That was mainly something we'll talk about. Exercising in national security. What happens now after Russia suspends the last nuclear arms treaty with the U.S.? You can read about that. In Europe, the ripple effect of Russia's war in Ukraine continued to change the world. And Zelensky's transformation from comedian to icon of democracy. In space, Russia is launching a mission to give stranded space station crew members a ride home. In the world, Putin says Russia will stop participating in its last nuclear treaty with the U.S. I already read that basically. Volodymyr Zelensky went from comedian to icon of democracy. This is how he did it. And popular of NPR.org, a nationalist, she found herself cornered in a train station. Then a stranger came to her aid. Politics, Joe Biden's standing improves while Trump slumps with Republican voters. In the weather, more than 2,000 flights canceled as heavy snow hit the Midwest. Books changes to new editions of Roald Dahl books have readers up in arms. A discarded cigarette butt and DNA test results. A 52-year-old murder of Vermont woman in the law technology sector. She left her 2007 iPhone in its box for over a decade. It just sold for $63,000. NPR's editor picks the technology. The story of Section 230 goes back to an AOL troll. Now the law may be undone. In the health, clues of Bronze Age cranial surgery revealed in ancient bones. Movies, Oscar wars, spotlight bias, blind spots, and backstage battles in the Academy. In the space sector, the Webb telescope finding surprisingly massive galaxies from the universe's youth. In national security, a year in the U.S. makes a pledge Ukraine will decide what victory looks like. In music reviews, a meditative ambient calm of Kalela's Raven. Maybe that's a performing artist of some sort. So that's what's going on. That's all I've got for today. Another news stream right after.